Thanks to the support as a channel member, Simon. New season starts today, boys and girls, but I am far more concerned about making it through the next 2 weeks without losing any of our key players. Hello and welcome to Club 4, Part 15 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our first 2 games of the new season against Liverpool and Wolves, and we're simultaneously trying to avoid selling Noel or Lewis or anyone good that we don't want to let go because, well, mainly because we only get 25% of transfer revenue retained, and that ain't going to be enough to replace any of these players who have become real key players for us over the last year or so. If you missed yesterday's transfer window, I urge you to go back and watch it. It was an exercise in restraint from me. As you can see, we've actually had a transfer window where we made a profit, spending only 33 million with 40 million coming back through the door. In fact, that's not strictly true. We did definitely make a profit. You can see that there, but there were a couple of transfers that went through both in and out beforehand, so those numbers aren't quite right. But still, I mean, officially, that shows that we've made a profit the last 2 years. People saying I don't make a transfer profit. I mean, that season was insane, but we'll just pretend that didn't happen. I've only been here a year. We'll blame that on the guy before me. But the key new signings of the summer, and we've brought in a lot of youngsters. We've got 2 young fullbacks there, 1 for each side. We've got another young fullback there, a young defensive midfielder there. But the key men, Etienne Tipple is in permanently for £24 million. Tammy Abraham has joined us on a free transfer. And this guy, George Anser, is on loan for the season from Bayern Munich and is a wonder kid. And we've funded that by just selling players who we weren't really using anyway. Ryan Sessegnon, probably the most notable to leave the club. De Luca's moved on as well. But really, it was just a lot of fringe players we've got rid of. Mingueza's gone as well. So it does mean all change at fullback for today against Liverpool on the first day of the season. Wagyu is suspended, so we're having to go with one of our young up-and-coming right-backs. Romero is the one who's ours and is probably got the bigger upside. Sika's only here on loan, but he's the one with the Premier League experience. So rather than throwing an 18-year-old in for his Football League debut against Liverpool, we're going with Sika for today. Romero probably will get the nod longer term. Well, to be fair, Wagyu's likely to be back in the team once his suspension is finished. So the team for the game against Liverpool: Hoy and Hall in goal, a back four of new boy Michele, who's on loan from Manchester United. We tried to get him last season and he wouldn't come to us. This season, though, he's happy to come and play for us. Caio Caesar and Noel at centre-back. We want to be keeping hold of both of those. They're 2 players I am worried about losing before the window is up. And Sika on the right. Amsa making his debut at the base of the midfield with Janusek and Tipple reunited. And now with Tipple as a permanent player in central midfield, Gilberto Carlos ahead of them. And then new boy Tammy Abraham is going to play in behind Pedro Luis. I thought I was going to have to make a decision with the strikers, but then Julian Alvarez made the decision easy for me by twisting his ankle. He's going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season, so it's going to give Abraham and Lewis a little bit of time to play together and see if they can form a partnership. And if they can, it's going to be hard for Alvarez to force his way back into the team. He can obviously play in either of the roles that we've got there, so it's not a case of he's just understudy to one of them. But I'd like to think we get to the point, especially with Champions League football coming up this year, where we're just able to rotate through the 3. Tammy Abraham is 34, 35 years old. Alvarez turns 32 this year. So I suspect neither of them are going to want to play a 60-match season. So the ideal is to rotate the 2 of them around, with Lewis playing the majority of the games. And of course, we've still got Casolare at the club as well, who never lets us down when he comes into the team, and he'll probably get his fair share of games as well. Liverpool then with the first attack of the new season. It'd be very nice if we could get a tackle and get the ball up the other end. I want Hoy and Hall with a very rare mistake, and then an excellent piece of defending, I think, from Noel, who's got Hoy and Hall out of trouble there. It's very rare to see Hoy and Hall mess up. He did mess up there, dropped the ball into his own 6-yard box, but Noel was first to react, and that's another example of why we really don't want to lose that man. He's our club captain. He is an excellent defender, and he showed it again there, and that's fantastic from Pedro Luis, our new vice-captain. tracking back, getting his tackle in, and then starting a counter-attack. Michele charging down the left-hand side, looking to cross, looking for Abraham. In fact, he finds Lewis, who'd made his way back into the penalty area, but his header goes wide. That was great from Pedro Luis. More of that, please. He is a very hard-working, wonderful man, and I want him to have a long and productive career here at Norwich. He's got to be our new Alvarez. Alvarez has spent 10 years here at Norwich, making himself a club hero. I'm expecting Pedro Luis to go on and do the same thing if we can avoid letting him go to Real Madrid or Paris Saint-Germain or somebody like that. Right. There were tired legs towards the end of that first half. Seeker and Ansa both looked like they were struggling, although they've recovered a little bit for the start of the second half. I think we'll give them both 15 minutes, but Romero and Zamorano both need to be warming up because I think the two youngsters who both joined us relatively late in the summer. In fact, Ansa didn't, but Seeker joined us pretty recently. Match fitness seems to be a little bit of an issue for the pair of them. So Romero will be making his debut shortly. There's no way Seeker is going to play the full 90 minutes. And Zamorano probably will be getting the nod ahead of Ansa on a more regular basis anyway. Looking for the ball in behind, Caesar is there, equal to it. It's very handy having such a quick defender on a covering instruction. And there's a ball over the top for Pedro Luis, who's in behind and applies the finish. And we've only been going again 40 seconds. And Pedro Luis puts us 1-0 up against Liverpool. I mean, it's as simple as you get when it comes to goals. We try and knock the ball around nicely between the defenders, but in the end, Noel just lumps it forward. I'd like to think it was a deliberate through ball, a lofted through ball from the centre-back, what we used to call in the olden days, lumping it forward. Luis gets in behind the defenders and grabs himself his first goal of the season. Seeker apparently has a gashed leg, so we probably do need to be looking to take him off. We've got a little bit of a goal line investigation of our own. I'm a little bit confused why I've still got the Streamer Showdown advertising hoardings on. I was pretty sure I'd removed them. Maybe I need to clear my cache on the game. In fact, they've disappeared now. That was weird. They were definitely there. And then I've mentioned them. It's like, oh, he's seen us. Run away quickly. And they've now gone again. And now they're back again. What is going on? We'll deal with it at some point. I mean, you know, Kevy 7 times. What am I going to do? Sometimes, and they've gone again. Perhaps every time I mention them, they disappear, and they're just going to sneak in for some subtle Streamer Showdown advertising when nobody's paying attention to it. The Showdown will be back at the end of February as well. So mark the date in your calendar, last weekend of February, for some Streamer Showdown action over on Twitch again. And of course, we're going to have the highlights of the one that's just gone appearing here on YouTube in the next day or two. Probably shouldn't have spoiled it. You know what? You should know by now. It was a big deal. Right, Tammy Abraham is going to come off as well. We're not going to try and force him to play 90 minutes too often. Bit of a quiet debut for him for his return to English football after 10 years away. But I don't know what to really expect of him. You know what I'm like with old men. So if he ends up being half decent, then I'll be happy. If not, then I won't sign any old men again for a little while. Zamorano's come on as well to replace Ansa. And fingers crossed, we've got enough fitness within the team to drag us through to the end of the match. I'm surprised to see Eddie Nketiah playing up front for Liverpool again. There were a number of rumours linking him with moves away from the club over the summer. We actually looked at him because he was available for, I think, £12 million. But in the end, because Abraham was coming in, we didn't feel the need to bring in two aging strikers. Tipple is in here on his full debut as a permanent player, but can't get it past the Liverpool goalkeeper. I'm talking of aging players. Trent Alexander-Arnold is there to get the ball clear. 2 minutes left. If we concede here, I'll be very sad. Pedro Luis still full of running up front, but not able to close down there, and Liverpool are in behind, and we need a clearance there. We didn't get the clearance, but luckily the header wouldn't stay down. It goes wide. A little bit wide, a little bit high. And either way, we can maintain the clean sheet. We've won 1-0 on the first day of the season. Liverpool will be sad that it seems that their time as a mid-table Premier League team is looking like it would continue. And 4-4-2 have hit the nail on the head. Where would Norwich be without Diego Noel? Well, we wouldn't have got 3 points in that game. That's for sure. Right. We now have a week to try and avoid selling him. before we play Wolves. Performances like that really don't help with the whole trying not to sell him thing. Right, just the one change for the Wolves game. Wagyu is back from his suspension, so he comes back into the team at right back. Other than that, it is the same team that has just beaten Liverpool. Well, fingers crossed, go and beat Wolves as well, because with the Champions League looming, we need to get as many points on the board as we can before we get into that routine of playing every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, or whatever the routine will be, because as we know from many previous saves, that's a nightmare, and it does lead to struggles in the league. And Tammy Abraham has he scored his first goal for the club, or is that offside? The referee's having a little look at it. I mean, he showed his aerial dominance. Even if the goal ends up getting chalked off, he's going to be a threat from situations like that all season long. But on that occasion, it is disallowed. But watch this space. You'll see Tammy Abraham score headed goals this season. I'm pretty sure of that. Remains 0-0 though. Wolves look like they picked up a draw on their first day of the new season. I didn't pay attention to see who they played, but Wolves, I think, from memory, have been a pretty solid mid-table team in the Premier League for a little while. Ruben Neves, still at the centre of the Wolves midfield, is an interesting one. What are we, 10 years later now? And there's the ball forward to Abraham, who nods down to Gilberto, and I can't get the words out. I'm trying to stifle a cough, whilst at the same time not able to describe the players properly. I think we're having another goal disallowed. That was some good lower league football there. It is a goal. So the ball forward, Tammy nods it down. Gilberto Carlos is there, plays it forward to Pedro Luis, who does manage to stay onside, slots the ball under the goalkeeper, and again, expect to see goals like that this season. Ball forward to Tammy, nod down to Carlos, and ball through to Pedro Luis. That's going to be a regular source of goals for us this year, I would hope. It's quite fun having a big guy like Tammy Abraham in there who's just going to dominate everybody in the air. And he showed it twice in the first 20 minutes of this game. Noel now to answer, and now Caesar back to Noel again. We're just knocking the ball around at the back, waiting for the big ball forward. This time it's aimed slightly astray to Michele, who wasn't able to win it, but he has come back and made the tackle, although he's immediately then given the ball away again, and Wagyu has to try and deal with this over on this near side. And he dealt with it really rather well. Apparently I can't speak today, which is not ideal considering my job. And Michele has been beaten again there. Cross comes in and we have conceded. And I don't know what the referee's got his finger in his ear about. I can't imagine what this could be disallowed for. There's very little chance of it being offside. And he was nowhere near anybody to commit a foul. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be given. What has that been disallowed for? He was offside, apparently. I mean, that feels harsh. It's that guy who's offside. And again, that feels harsh. But I'll take it. The guy who actually scored was well onside and nowhere near him. But there was someone ahead of him who I guess was deemed to be interfering with play. And now Michele is in behind, playing it back to Abraham, who crosses it not very well. And it's back with Noel. And now Wagyu. Janusek had Wagyu to release on the right-hand side, but instead we've gone all the way back to Hoyenhal, who a couple of times now this season has looked a little bit questionable. I hope that's not a new thing with Hoyenhal. Sometimes you find when you've got a good goalkeeper, I think it's just a football manager balancing thing. When you're not very good and you've got a decent goalkeeper, they look like a world beater. When you start to get better and the game decides to bring you down a peg or two, sometimes the way it does it is by making your goalkeeper look not very good. There's been multiple times over the years when we've had goalkeepers who've looked like world beaters and eventually become liabilities despite us not changing league. And I hope that's not the future that Hoyenhal has in store for him. But he's been beaten again there. And the referee once again has his finger in his ear. Questions for offside again. I'd say it's more questionable whether or not they fouled the goalkeeper there, because it all seemed to be happening very close together. Referee, finger in ear. And the goal is awarded. Let's have a look at this one then. So it starts from a corner and then it ends up going back out to the corner taker, I think. So is that, I mean, I would argue that was more likely to be offside than this. That felt like that was the offside, because how's he got back onside? We're not even going to get to look at it with the little lines. I feel like there's a conspiracy going on But either way, it's 1-1 and Wolves have scored their only shot of the first half. Oh, that's not very fun. Noel heads it forward to Janusek. Can we grab another goal just before half-time to restore the correct order of things? Tipple looking for the ball over the top to Luis, who's in with his pace again, rounds the keeper, and Pedro Luis is on fire. His pace is just unplayable at times. If I was going to say if he can learn to keep himself offside, and he looks to be doing it today, if he can start beating offside traps with that pace on a consistent basis, he is going to get 30 goals this season. That's 3 already for him today. Didn't mean to put that on there. And he is looking very, very lively. This is what we spent all that money on last summer. We said he'd do this, and now he's starting to do it. And oh, it's lovely to see. Right, Wolves trying to spoil the party again, though, even before half-time. And they've had the shot from range, and luckily it goes wide. Hoyenhal didn't even feel the need to attempt to save it. He knew it. He knew it was always going wide. There was never any doubt there. So 2-1 up at half-time. No need to make any changes. Fitness-wise, everyone seems to be doing okay. Performance-wise, Tammy Abraham's only on a 6.7, but this is one of those situations where I'm not necessarily going to trust that, because I've seen him be actively involved in a number of attacking moves, doing exactly what I want him to be doing. We're not looking for anything spectacular from him. We're looking for a different route forward to attack, and we've had that a couple of times in this game already. That being said, I'm also not going to expect him to play 90 minutes very often, so Casolare can come on again. We're also going to bring Zamorano on again, and they're 2 substitutions you're going to see a lot for different reasons. Players at opposite ends of their career. Ansa's not yet ready, but he's going to be awesome, and I'd like to sign him permanently because I think he's going to be brilliant. So we want to help develop him, even though he's not our player. And Tammy, we just want to nurse through the season and then see how he is at the end of it. Right. Michele is tired, so we're going to bring on Angelino for him and hopefully see the game out. We have got a lot of tired legs around the place again, especially in central midfield. But it looks like, Wolves have shown very little in the way of ambition today. And if they do manage to grab a late equaliser, it'll be disgusting. But they don't. No need to vomit today, boys and girls. We've picked up our second win. That's exactly the start to the season we wanted. And now, before we go, we're going to do the Champions League draw. Because why not? Let's go do the Champions League draw to finish off the episode, so we know what we're going to be up against in tomorrow's episode. Another worrying development. Borussia Dortmund making a big offer for Caio Caesar. Luckily, he's got no interest in joining them, and he's got a £72 million release clause, but they're coming in with £37.5 million. Hopefully, not the start of any kind of bidding war for him, because with any of the big 3, really, Noel, Caesar, and Lewis, if we lose any of them, they're not getting adequately replaced before the end of the season before the start of the season. Although we have moved up to 40% revenue retained. I didn't ask for that. They've just kind of adjusted that without telling me. I'm here for it. Right, here we go then. Champions League draw. We're 4th seeds because obviously we've never played in the competition before. So we'll draw the top 3 in each group first to get an idea of which groups we want to avoid. All of them, please, looking at them. So Group A has Porto, Chelsea and Leipzig. B is City, Atletico and Besiktas. Group C, so we can't go in either of them because we can't go in with English clubs. Group C has PSG, Real Madrid and Atalanta. Can we avoid that one, please? That being said, we'd also like to avoid this one that has Bayern Munich, Inter Milan and Shakhtar. I guess in that one, we've got a better chance of ending up in the Europa League. Atalanta are likely to be a pretty decent side still, I would imagine. They're in the Champions League. They're going to be one of the top teams in Italy, whereas Shakhtar, I think we can probably finish above Shakhtar in that group. So Group D is a possibility. Ajax, Benfica and Milan. Both Ajax and Benfica, that one we could potentially finish second in behind Milan maybe, and Milan are only the 3rd seed, which is weird. I guess I'm not really sure what's going on there. Villarreal, Monaco and Salzburg. E and F look like their groups will definitely take either of them. I think either of them we could make it through to the knockout rounds of the Champions League. Group D, we could hope for the Europa League. Group C is a nightmare. Group G, we can't end up in Juventus, Man United and Rangers. the group of the unspoken named teams. And then Group H is another nightmare group, Roma, Barcelona, and Borussia Dortmund. If we get D or H, if we get D or C, I think we finish bottom of the group, potentially. D, we're looking at maybe Europa League. E and F, we're going to get out of the group. Let's see what happens, shall we? So, remember, we can't end up in A or B, so let's not worry about those. So Zenit end up in there. Lille get that one. Group C, we want to avoid. We have avoided it. Group D, we don't mind. We don't get. We want to be in E or F. We can't be in G. We really don't want H. So we want to be coming out of the hat in the next 2 picks, please and thank you. And elect to take one spot. It's got to be this group. If it's not Group F, we've got that absolute nightmare, Group H. I mean, it's still not a particularly easy group. We should be better than Salzburg. I don't know how we compare to Villarreal and Monaco. There's a world where we could finish top of that group, potentially. I think looking at the groups that were available, that's probably the best we could have hoped for. So we'll just hit continue to see them populate the fixture list and work out where we're going to be. So I think we have to come back tomorrow for Villarreal. We have to show you our first ever game in the Champions League. We'll do one of the league games either side of it as well, and then we'll probably try and show games against all 3 of them. So Villarreal, Monaco, and then Salzburg towards the end. I think that's probably a nice little selection of Champions League games for you. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.